I'm Liz Giorgi. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Soona. And Soona is a virtual photo shoot platform. We make it possible for anyone to make professional content for your brand. But we are so proud to be part of the Twin Cities community. Haley and I both grew up in Minnesota. We knew that when we were going to build our company in the Twin Cities that we wanted to have a big presence in Minneapolis. We, in fact, decided to make our first massive expansion investment in Minneapolis. That's why the Twin Cities are so special to us. And so today we're going to talk a little bit about B2B specifically. So many people look at Soona, so many people see the amazing content we create, and they think, oh, this is only for product companies. And in fact, my slide is even a little bit tricky because it's showing you a bunch of ideas that are pretty specific to product companies. But the truth is that any company, whatever space you're in, whatever category you're in, can benefit from the ideas we're going to talk about today. So you might think you have the most boring company in the world. You might think you have the most traditional B2B thing that you're selling in the world. And I promise you, there is a way to liven it up, to make it more joyful, and to bring life to your content. So let's kick this off. I started this company with my soulmate, my creative co-founder, one of my favorite people in the whole world, Haley Anderson. And you might be wondering, why am I the person to come tell you about B2B content? Why am I the person to come share this message with you? Well, the truth is that Haley and I spent 5 years making ads together at my first company. Some of you might have known my first company. It's called Mightier. And we primarily worked with B2B brands. We worked with the Microsoft division that sold B2B software. We worked with companies that worked on all of your B2B internet infrastructure. We loved working with B2B companies because we knew that they needed fresh ideas. And so we spent years helping them create fresh content. And the thing that we learned along the way is that most brands in B2B simply do not know how to make content that is fun, that converts, and that stands out from the crowd. In fact, most of them do a lot of the same things over and over and over again without even realizing it. My co-founder, Haley, used to always say to our customers, B2B marketing stands for boring to boring. And it's really true. It's not meant to be shade. It's not meant to be rude. It's just the fact that so many B2B companies focus on saying the most boring thing they possibly can. And, listen, it might feel a little bit harsh, but the truth is that we tend to play it safe when it comes to B2B. We tend to do things that don't take chances, that don't take risks. And if this is your website, I'm sorry, but let's talk a little bit about what we mean by boring to boring. This is something that you would see all the time in a B2B space. You might see them use abstract, futuristic language about meet the future of whatever, fill in the blank. You might see them make insane promises that really just don't make any sense. Building lifelong customer relationships. Lifelong to me means that my entire life, my lifelong love of a particular type of food, not my lifelong love of transactional email. I'm pretty sure that once I retire, I will never think about transactional emails ever again. These insane promises that just don't make sense, that don't feel particularly human. They also seem to have a deep love of abstract interfaces, communicating with this content that is just so blasé, literally could be chosen anywhere from a landscape of content that really doesn't stand out at all and doesn't mean anything. Quite literally, those squiggly lines in the top left mean nothing to me, and they probably mean nothing to you. And who doesn't love random maps and countries? That is something B2B marketers do all the time. They pick these visuals that have no relevance to anyone. So I know that this might feel like a little bit of a wake-up call, like, oh my God, I'm using some of these things. I'm using some of these strategies. You might even have one of these crazy interfaces on your own website. This is not meant to be judgment. This is a safe space. We're calling this How to Wake Up B2B Content because we want you to feel like you can wake up from this type of content, that you can be brave enough to try something different, that you can be brave enough to do something different. And so this is really just an invitation to do something different. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So there's really, to me, 3 key reasons why websites like this don't work. And again, if this is your website, I am so sorry. I'm not trying to make you feel bad. I'm just trying to point out that this is kind of a playbook. This is a playbook that has become standard. This is a playbook that gets done over and over again. And, some people think that it might be because it works, but the truth is that the reason so many B2B companies have a hard time scaling rapidly, the reason they have to rely heavily on one-to-one Salesforce relationships, the reason why they have to rely on those annoying emails that we're all receiving every day from sales teams is because this type of content online actually doesn't work. It doesn't convert. And as a result, it just kind of becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. There's a couple things here that you can see in this website that stand out from the previous example. Again, these claims of solutions that never miss the aim. Well, what aim and to whom and why? And of course, this horrendous stock image of a man in a suit with a paper airplane. It means nothing, it communicates nothing, and it's emotionally pretty devoid of connection. I think that there are three things I really want to point out. There are none of us that talk this way. We do not get into rooms with our customers or actually talk to one another, our colleagues, in this sort of abstract, over-the-top sort of methodology. We also don't share this way. None of us would, if we were like posting on LinkedIn today about a new job or posting on Instagram with our friends, none of us would take this picture of ourselves with a paper airplane. It just isn't something we would do because it doesn't feel particularly human. And finally, this is again a thing that just happens over and over again, but somewhere there was a website that started using blue and green as the primary color scheme of B2B. And I just want to give you permission to know the world is more colorful than blue and green. In fact, simply choosing to use a different color other than blue and green might be the thing that helps you stand out from the crowd. That's right, Neil. Healthcare also overly emphasizes blue and green. Now, you might have heard, well, Liz, blue and green is what we use because there's all this data, there's all this science that backs these things up. Yes, there is such a thing as color theory. Yes, color theory does teach us things like blue makes us feel more calm or that we can trust someone. Green represents growth and money. But the truth is it's really just coming down to how is this experience making me feel? How is the accumulation of these colors, these images, this language making me feel? And no amount of blue and green with a crappy stock image is going to make me feel like I can trust you. And so if you want to change this, you might be asking yourself, well, Liz, I have a lot of these things. I have a lot of these methodologies on my website. We are using the meet the future of tagline. We are using solutions everywhere. We're talking about lifelong customers on all the things. And you know what? I understand. It's a playbook for a reason. We've been taught to do it. But I want to have some freaking fun. And so this is a moment to say, what can I do instead that might be really, really fun for my brand? So let's dive right into some of those things that you can do differently. Step one, revisit your voice. Now, what do I mean by your voice? A brand's voice comes out in a few key ways. The first is the copy on your website. What are the headlines? What are the paragraphs? What are the subheads? Your voice can show up also in your social media. How do you caption content? What types of videos are you creating? Your voice can also show up in your press appearances. When your CEO or someone at your organization is on a podcast or on television. These things all together make up the voice of your brand. And it's really important to see when you think of it as a conversation, is it a two-way street? Or is it just our brand kind of saying all kinds of crazy hyperbolic stuff into the universe without inviting a lot of conversation? I want you to remember that people buy from people. We don't actually really buy exclusively from businesses. Even when I need to go buy a new laptop, I'm going to walk into an Apple store and work with an Apple genius. When I need to hire my lawyer to do something, I'm not just hiring the law firm abstractly as a B2B transaction. I'm hiring a lawyer, a person that I trust, that I want to be in communication with, and that I want to have a relationship with. So think about this. What would it look like for your brand to use language that you would use with friends and peers? You know, I all the time will write something for our website or write something for social media, and I ask myself the simple question: would I ever talk this way to a friend? Would I ever use these words with a colleague? And if the answer is no, it's time to revisit it and think about how I might change my language in order to effectively communicate with those individuals. I also want you to avoid hyperbole, unless it's an actual joke. It's good to use humor. It's important to use humor. Soona uses humor all the time in what we're doing as a B2B business. But we want you to remember that you have the ability to use hyperbole in the right way, and you have the ability to use hyperbole in the wrong way. The right way is to think about how you might use hyperbole with your friends or your peers. The wrong way is to think abstractly. If you're sounding like you're going to the moon, you probably are using hyperbole in the wrong way. If you sound like you're making a joke with your friends, you're probably using hyperbole in the right way. Now, I like to revisit your voice with a simple, instead of this, do this. So I would just point out that these are sentences that I see all the time on websites, in pitch emails, in sales conversations. Meet the future of cloud computing, or stop wasting time on your cloud computing. These messages are very broad. They don't say anything specific. Even saying stop wasting time on your cloud computing, whenever you're speaking to someone as if you understand all their problems in such a specific way, you might actually be offending what their true solution need is. Go for something more human. Go for something more personal. The cool kids are in the cloud. This is silly. It's a little bit fun. It kind of sounds like a joke, but it's sort of true. And it's a way that I might talk to my own friends. I'm constantly saying that the cool kids have headshots from Soona. Of course, you can also say something like solving for literally all things cloud. Now, I don't know about you, but I text a lot for work and I Slack a lot for work. Another way that I like to do my copywriting changes or think about how I can liven up my copy in B2B is actually asking myself the question, would I text this or would I share it on Slack? Those formats of communication are more informal. They're more person to person. And it's actually a really good test to see, would I change my language in a way that allows me to be more human, that allows me to be more fun and to be more silly? Now, this isn't just the first step. This is just one of many steps you can take. So let's talk about the second step you can take. The second step you can always do is center around hope and not problems. Many B2B companies will choose to use the problem solution matrix as a way to communicate to their customers. The thing about this is that it's very obvious, right? You have a problem, my company's the solution. Or your company has a problem and our software is the solution. And that is a very simplistic methodology of communicating. The trouble with this is that the problem becomes the center of the communication. It means that we're connecting over negativity versus connecting over potential, aspiration, inspiration, and hope. Now, you might think, my boss will never let me get away from a problem solution communication style. But I think we can actually talk a little bit about how you might be able to convince them that this is a good move, to move in a different direction. The first is that qualified customers or qualified leads already know their problems. They're not looking at your solution if they're not somehow already aware that they have a problem. That is just sort of 101. Anyone who is good at their job is clear on what are the things I'm trying to improve, what is the progress that I'm trying to make inside of my organization, and what are my goals. So if you are thinking, I'm just going to keep hammering you over the head with the problems you already know you have, you're simply getting chosen because you share a problem. Now, let's wind this back. Let's wind this back all the way to high school. And of course, you join me. I'm from Soona. You know Soona's kind of wild. You know Soona's very creative. You know that we don't do things as is normal. So yes, we're going to talk about high school, and we're going to talk about gossiping in high school. Everybody knows that person who gossips about everyone, who is always saying the worst things, the most negative things, and sometimes they're saying things that aren't even true. Those people, who do they attract? They attract other gossips, they attract other negative people, and they create a clique of jerks. That's who they attract. That was high school locker psychology 101. Now, let's fast forward. You are now in your job at a B2B company. And the question you have to ask yourself is, am I just attracting customers based on my negativity? Am the industry gossip that's creating a circle of negativity around my business? If you are, then I'm not that surprised that your customers don't feel excited and passionate about your business. I'm not that surprised that people aren't jumping the gun to write 5-star reviews for you on GH2 or 5-star reviews for you on Google. Because customers that are centered around a negative relationship are going to share negative feelings with you. Customers that are centered around a hopeful relationship are going to share hopeful messages around your business. If you, not to like pat myself on the back, but like I've been to a lot of therapy, okay? And I know that I am not centered in gossip. I hate being centered in negativity. And if you go read Soona's Google reviews in any of our cities, Minneapolis, Denver, or Austin, you're going to see B2B customers losing their minds with joy and happiness and celebration and excitement about our business. And that is by design. We give them hope. And so I want to invite you to think about how you can give your customers hope and center the hopeful opportunities that exist in your partnership. Of course, there is a way to do all of this, which is to invest in your visuals and really think about how you can tell your story in a visual way. Now, listen, I know my company, Soona, we make content. We make beautiful content. Of course, I'm going to talk about visuals. Of course, we're going to talk about the beauty of good photography. Of course, of course, of course. I thank you for being here for me to get on my soapbox about content because it is my whole life. But I promise it's going to be a helpful soapbox too. The first thing I want you to do is say sayonara to stock content. We talked about this. Whether it's stock graphics, like those crazy maps that you saw at the beginning of this presentation, or that silly guy in a suit, or just people collaborating around computer. Here's a good rule of thumb. If the people do not work at your company, they don't belong in your pictures. If the people aren't your customers, they don't belong in your pictures. And if the people have never seen your product, they don't belong in your pictures. These are things that are hard to believe because it isn't real. When I see a stock image, I don't believe it because I already know it's not real. So just give yourself a little permission slip, write it down, put it on a Post-it note, stick it to your computer that says, I hereby say and promise to myself that I will say sayonara to stock content forever. It's not helping you, it's hurting you. And there are really more options than you think. I know that it's hard to imagine what those options are when you're maybe building a software company, or you have an application, or you're a law firm or a financial services company. But I promise you that weird picture of a stack of money is weird. It's weird. But you, the person providing those services, your clients who are happy in receiving your services, or other things that are maybe really interesting about your company. Maybe it's your building or your offices. Look at my cool office. I even had a custom wallpaper put up right behind my wall, just so that I could have my mission statement in every single meeting I ever join. This is a great photo for our website to talk about our culture, to talk about our people, and to talk about what we believe in. You can also have pictures done of your application. If your app is on your phone, have photos done. We do this all the time at Soona. We make amazing flat lays that show your application in action. GIFs and stop motions can show the step-by-step uses of your software or your application in a helpful way. And of course, any kind of work samples or even hypotheticals can be really, really good content. Believe it or not, this amazing picture of a little paper crafted truck with a paper crafted camper van is something that was created by someone who worked at a B2B agency to explain the hobbies of the people that work there. This hobby image was so impressive to us, so cool, such an interesting way to communicate a B2B idea that we hired this person to come be a product manager at Soona. That's the power of communicating something interesting about you. It really helps people feel connection to the human beings on the other side of your services. Now, I would be remiss if I did not tell you that Soona has a very easy way for you to go about solving this problem. It's called Headshots for All. And if you didn't know, Soona offers free headshots to anyone, anytime in our locations. And yes, in Minneapolis, where you can just go to soona.co/headshotsforall and sign up to get a free photo. You can look like these beautiful people. You'll look like your beautiful people. But here's a hack. Ask your clients to go. Ask your clients to go get a headshot. Ask your new employees to go get a headshot. And you can collect all of these images and use them in your social content in a really, really valuable way. All right, so let's recap. Let's start at the top. The first thing you're going to do is revisit your voice. Remember, we want to make sure that what you're saying sounds like a conversation, and we want to make sure that we're avoiding language that is just overwhelmingly inhuman or doesn't sound like something that a person would say to another person. Step 2, we're going to focus on hope and not problems. We don't want to be the high school gossip. We want to be the center of hope for our customers. And step 3, you're going to invest in your visuals. Make choices that are visually proactive and allow you to do that work. Okay, but we're not done yet. You might be asking yourself, why don't people do this? Why do we avoid taking the steps to actually make changes on our website, to make changes to our social media, to evolve our language or evolve our story as a business? And the truth is, we're scared to do it. There's so many examples out there of B2B websites that we try to copy or we try to look like because we think it makes us look professional or it makes us look like we belong as part of the tech industry or the finance industry or the legal industry. The truth is that we really don't need to do those things. We don't need to be afraid. And frankly, when we choose to be afraid and when we choose not to put ourselves out there, it shows a complete and total lack of trust in our customers. We're assuming that our customers are not smart enough to get it. We're assuming that our customers don't like us. We're assuming that our customers need to gossip about the bad things instead of seeing the good things. And when we make those assumptions, we make it almost impossible for them to actually build a human relationship with our business. And if they build a human relationship with your business, they'll trust you and they'll stick with you, which is the key to literally everything. And frankly, it's bad management. We think that we have to be a certain way in the industry, but in actuality, we don't have to do anything. You know, I know that maybe some leaders are scared, but pushing our leaders to see that we're all just human beings buying from other people might be the unlock of the century. And what do we all want? We all want our businesses to grow. We all want our marketing to work. We all want to have more customers. And so if you want those things, why are you doing things that actively avoid building relationships? Why do things that actually create bridges or create walls instead of bridges? That's the way to think about it. And at Soona, what we have seen be so successful for us is embracing the personality of the team. I am not your average CEO, and I know that. But I try to encourage everyone to be more personable, to be more human, and to actually share the things that are real about them. It's why when you go to the Soona's About Us page, all the pictures are crazy, colorful example of personalities. There are zero restrictions at Soona on what your headshot can look like. Any prop, any person, any outfit, any makeup, any clothing, it really doesn't matter, because what it allows us to do is remind each other that we're all people going to work every single day trying to connect with other people. This is my dog, Fran. I would seriously use my dog, Fran, in my stead in literally any situation. And I think most people also love animals too. So if you haven't thought about how to embrace these things in your company, think about how much fun it might be, how much more passionate you might all feel about your jobs, and what that shows up as in terms of sales and marketing efforts. Okay, you know that I didn't show up here today without a plan on helping all of you have an amazing experience. And so I want to make sure that you're getting a chance to see that we have a free photo for you. If you come to Soona, just go to soona.co. You can use the code TCSW21 to get one free photo. And of course, if you want to come to Soona for a free headshot, you go to soona.co/headshots for all. You can get a free headshot. Your whole team can get a free headshot. Your clients can get a free headshot. Your partners can get a free headshot. Anyone can get a free headshot from Soona. So with that, again, I'm Liz Giorgi, co-founder and CEO of Soona, and I create lots of time to answer your questions. If you have any questions, leave them in the chat now, and I will answer them for you. That's right. I am the Oprah of free headshots. I love that, Randy. Thank you. I'm going to change that to my name on LinkedIn today, I think. So, first photo free. Any questions from the crowd? I'm here to answer any and all of them. If there are no questions, then I just start singing to amuse myself. You know, we don't want me to sing too long. It's not good. How important are the various social media platforms for B2B? Well, I think it's really about choosing the platform that makes sense for your brand. So when you think about, well, LinkedIn clearly is the logical place for your brand, think again. If you are an architecture company, maybe actually Pinterest is the right place for you. If you're a construction company, you might be surprised to find out that Google search is a better place for you, or YouTube, being the second largest search engine in the world, is a better place for you. Of course, you definitely want to make sure that you're choosing a social platform you can keep up with. It's actually more important that you keep posting than that you add more places to post. And so making sure that you have a committed strategy, a calendar, and a plan for posting is the most important thing to do. We do not want you to just post one time and disappear. Pick one platform, post frequently, and post consistently, and you will start to build an audience no matter what you choose. So that's what I would recommend above all. How can you talk about production quality in our original photos and vids? Absolutely. You know, most of the research about content shows that most customers don't want to see all professional content all the time. It's actually the mix of organic content and social content plus professional and user-generated content, that mix, that kind of like tornado of content that creates the most traction for a business. And so a good rule of thumb is just to have a 1-1-1 rule. So if you're going to post 4 times in a month, make sure that one piece of content is professional, one piece of content is highly social, meaning it's something that people can share or it's something that people can interact with. That one of them is a user-generated piece of content, so it's something that is maybe shot on your phone or is like a video like of you talking. And that one piece of content is something that is promotional in nature. It's something that really promotes something that's valuable for you. If you can just do those 4 things, you'll have a consistency and a methodology to your madness that makes it a lot easier. Can my dog get a free headshot? Yes, just bring your dog. Make the booking, bring your dog. Dogs, cats, bunnies, they're all welcome at Soona. We hope they'll come. Where best to start when you don't yet have a marketing budget and our team is made up of non-marketers? Our website is terrible. Oh, Stacy. Hug. I'm so sorry. But you can do this. You know, I think one of the things that is just true is that we think marketing is all about being paid social or paid ads or having talking points and headlines. I actually think marketing is just about sharing the good word about what you're doing. So a really great way to start we have something at Soona called Client Love. It's a Slack channel where we just house and share all the client love. And then we turn that client love into content for our website, content for our social, content for emails. And so just creating a place where people can share good news and gratitude from customers is a great place to start getting those stories that you can spread across the internet. You want to share stories. You want to share conversations. You want to share people trusting you as their people. And so I find that a Slack channel is a great place to do that. If you're not Slack people, of course, don't worry about making it specific to Slack. You can just have a Dropbox folder where people share these things, or an email where everybody sends it to, but that's a great way to start. Another thing, of course, to do is to really think about having fun with photography. And so having your team, whether that's, somebody who's a leader at the organization or having new people at the organization, get images that show that there's a cohesion, that there is a narrative element around this team, that we share things, we share a point of view. One of the ways you do that is having pictures that look similar, that have a cohesion. So those are two actionable things you guys can do right away. How often is frequent for posts? Well, it really depends on how much support you have. Here at Soona, we are posting kind of nonstop. It's crazy. Our team is amazing. We're very focused on it because we believe that there is a different way to approach B2B, and it's to meet people where they are. The idea that we are just going to find people in their inbox in a sales email is just crazy. Where are we all hanging out? TikTok, Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook. That's where we spend our lives. And so meet people where they are. Don't try to disrupt them in their inbox and try to disrupt them in their workday. Meet them where they are. The right amount to post is what is sustainable for your business. That's the right amount to post. So if the right amount is we can post every single day, oh heck yes, do it. Post every single day. If what's sustainable is twice a week, then heck yes, post twice a week. You have to choose what's sustainable. The thing about it though is you cannot post just once every 3 weeks or once a month or once a year and call it done. It has to be a weekly commitment of at least once a week, and then you can start to build from there. What is your favorite tool for planning posts and scheduling? Sprout Social is great, absolutely, as recommended in the comments. I love Sprout Social. Good tools, good planning, and you can plug in so many different social platforms, which is really, really helpful. But a lot of the platforms have tools that are really great too. I like to use Twitter's scheduling tool. I think Twitter's scheduling tool is really, really good and actually easy to use. I also love to use the tools on YouTube that allow you to plan what you're going to organize and how you're going to release. And, of course, depending on what social platform you use, LinkedIn is probably the only one that I put on my calendar. So one of my greatest hacks is just I put 30 minutes on my calendar every single week to write my LinkedIn posts and publish them. And so LinkedIn is like my personal superpower place. I love posting on LinkedIn. I love to post content that's sort of the anti-B2B post because I think it gets more attention, it gets more shares, it gets more traction there. But I do have to sit down every week and actually write it. So my hack is just to put it on my Google Calendar, and you can do that too. Couple of B2B companies that you think do an amazing job with their website content besides Soona, of course. Oh, that's very kind. Thank you. I love a company called Air Inc. It's just air.inc, I-N-C. They do some things that I think are really interesting with showing real customer use cases. Real customer use cases, yo, if you do not have 2 to 3 examples of real customer use cases on your website, and you just need a to-do item coming out of this meeting because rewriting your whole website is too hard, go right to customer use cases. It is the best thing in the world that you can do for SEO. It's the best thing in the world you can do for sharing. It's the best thing in the world you can do for helping customers understand that you're real people. Go write those use cases. I love Air Inc. I also think that Miro, M-I-R-O, which is a sort of like a digital whiteboard, almost like a whiteboard in the cloud. We all used to sit in whiteboard workshop together, but Miro has a whiteboard in the cloud. They're super colorful, super fun. They have emojis. They have all the things that I would use if I was communicating through text message or through Slack. And so I feel like that's really fun and really charming. I also think Slack does a really good job. Slack is B2B. I buy software to communicate with other people. I love that I can create custom emojis. Oh my God, y'all. We have hundreds of custom emojis at Soona. It's like a party, and it always feels like a party whenever we create a new custom emoji. Feels human, feels like the things I do with my friends, feels like the things I want to do with my peers. Really, really fun. It even trickles into product. And then one other company that I think is probably worth mentioning because it's very, very technical, but I think they do a good job is Twilio. Twilio does a really good job in terms of just their tutorial and onboarding videos are silly and fun and human, and they use real voices and they make it charming. And I also think they embrace purple a lot, which is kind of close to blue and green, but they go crazy with the purple, and I think that's really fun. Oh, Twilio, Twilio. Okay, video versus photos, which wins? You know, I think it just depends on what you want to say. Sometimes a photo says everything you need it to say. You know, if you just need to show off a customer use case in a single photo, maybe, you know, I come back to people who always say to me, but Liz, I'm in the most boring thing ever. I work in construction, or I'm in the most boring thing ever. I work in this obscure type of engineering. And I'll still say like, well, okay, but did you build something? And so, you know, sometimes it's, if you can show the building, that's all you need to do in a single photo. But video, I think, is when you really want to tell a multi-part story, or you want to really connect with people person to person. So for me, I'm here in video with you because I want to connect with you with what I have to share, and it contains multiple parts, and I want to connect person to person. I want us to feel like we're all growing together. And so having this ability to share in this methodology, this platform, in video is so valuable. I get real-time feedback, I get real-time review. I think video can work very much in the same way with customer testimonials, case studies, behind the scenes videos. Behind the scenes of anything is interesting. Behind the scenes of, I literally watched a video recently of behind the scenes of how my water gets processed in a hydro facility before it arrives in my building. Behind the scenes of your recycling, behind the scenes of building your software, behind the scenes of your product development, behind the scenes of your engineering process. People actually love process. And so if it's a multi-part story or a multi-part process that you want to connect and show expertise on, video is the way to go. And the other thing is that don't overthink the length. So one thing that I think we've become overly obsessed with social, and I see this all the time with people saying shorter is better. That's not true. Clearer is better. And sometimes it takes 30 seconds to be clear, and sometimes it takes 5 minutes to be clear. Short isn't better. Short does not equal better. Clear equals better. And so however long it takes you to be clear, that's how long your video needs to be. All right. If copywriting just isn't for you, do early stages. Do you think Fiverr or Upwork is a bad idea if you don't have a budget for an agency? Great question, Joshua. You know, there are a lot of good people on Upwork and Fiverr, and you just want to be really thoughtful about how you craft that job posting. So one of the things that I do when I'm crafting any kind of job posting, and I haven't used Upwork or Fiverr in a really long time, but you know, when we post jobs for people to work at Soona, we try to use language that you would not see in B2B. So for example, we say, you know, one of the perks of working at Soona is killer headshots. That is not something you're going to say probably in a traditional B2B job description. And when you post the job on Upwork or Fiverr, you can do things like, I'm looking for someone to bring a consumer voice to my B2B product. That is a great way to attract a certain type of writer. And then when you're saying requirements, you can say, I need you to seamlessly blend technical product features with joy and personality. And you can even say, I will require or request that you avoid problem solution narratives in your copywriting, right? So that's an example of how you can really, really narrow it down by writing a job description that communicates away from B2B. So just think about, how do I write a job description that says I'm looking for these things, I'm very specific about it, and I want you to embrace a certain type of personality. Of course, another thing that works really well, anytime you're hiring a freelancer, anytime you're hiring someone on Upwork or Fiverr, anytime you're hiring, a small company, give them examples, real world examples that are in the direction of where you want to go in the positive, and give them real world examples of where you absolutely do not want to go in the negative, right? So for us, I would say I would send someone a website that's maybe more consumery and say, I want to match some of the attitude and the personality of a warbyparker.com. I do not want to match the attitude and personality of a HubSpot.com, right? And no shade to HubSpot, I just don't like how they talk to their customer, but I like how Warby Parker talks to their customer. So give both examples, both in the positive and in the negative.